Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Daily Betslip. We are just a few hours away from the start of Week 15 of the NFL season. We are in the final stretch, and joining me today to talk Thursday Night Football, to talk Week 15 of the NFL season, Jared Smith. You can follow him on Twitter at Jared Lee Smith. Jared, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. Excited to talk to you. And why don't we actually start with the most relevant game tonight? It is the Seahawks against the 49ers. 49ers can clinch the NFC West with a win tonight. But I want to get your opinion about this because I don't really know what to make of this Seahawks team, because statistically, they're, I think, just inside the top 10 in net yards per play. They're good at everything. They're not terrible at everything, but they're not great at anything. Is this Seahawks team good? What do you kind of make of this team as a whole?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Ian. I appreciate you coming on, one of our Pick Spot shows recently. I'm happy to return the favor here and talk a little ball with you as we get ready. The home stretch, and Seattle's kind of been all over the map over the last few weeks, literally, right? In Germany, yes, all over the globe. And now we're starting to see some cracks in the armor, especially with Geno Smith, who was playing at, I hate to say it, but at like an MVP level for the first, 8 to 10 weeks or so. And now he's, above average with all, the metrics we like to look at. But I would say, slight regression to, you would think, the mean. But even though what we've seen from Geno this year is light years ahead of where we expected him. And I think there is a bit of a renaissance with his game. And I don't think it's just going to completely tail off down the stretch. Again, I think the first half was a bit, overstretched, and maybe we get that, slight regression. But I still think the Seahawks offense is a pretty formidable unit, especially with Kenneth Walker back in the lineup, who we, hope to see in droves tonight. Defensively, I think that's where they've been all over the place. Started out really bad, and then they hit a stretch, mid-season when they were kind of peaking, where you saw Clint Hurd and this defensive coordinator, new role for him, trying to adapt to a new scheme with a lot of rookies. And I think those rookies have kind of hit a wall over the last few weeks, especially in the secondary. And they've played some really tough games in a tough division. And that's why you've seen the production tail off defensively. So I think Seattle is a good football team, but I just don't think they're quite at the level of the contenders that we're going to see, and maybe one of them being tonight in the Niners.
Yeah, I do got to say, I do kind of hope they do get in the playoffs. I think they're one spot out of the playoffs right now, but they've just been such a good story. Geno Smith, I think he's a pretty big favorite now in terms of the betting odds to win comeback player of the year. I'd like to see them get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Geno in a playoff game would be fun. As a Jets fan, I'm wearing the Jets shirt. I'm already picturing Geno. So the Seahawks play the Jets in Week 17, and I'm already picturing Geno strolls into MetLife, revenge, gets a win for Seattle, and then single-handedly knocks the Jets out of the playoffs in the process. I can already see my worst case scenario, Murphy's Law Jets brain gravitating towards that.
I do love the Jets this year. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. Big game for them this weekend. But from one quarterback tonight to the other, Brock Purdy, the 49ers, very good first game and a half so far, game and 3 quarters. Mr. Irrelevant. People are now just calling him Mr. Relevant. It's a cute little thing everyone's now is going to say. But, is he actually good? Because he has looked good, but I'm nervous. I'm afraid that we're just going to see him completely fall off here. Maybe he does tonight. Maybe he does by the end of the season. What's your early analysis of Brock Purdy? Obviously, anything could happen from here on out, but do you think he can actually do enough to keep the 49ers as contenders as they were before Jimmy G went down?
Yeah, I do. I don't think he's going to have as easy of a time as he had on Sunday. It was the perfect spot for him. There was no tape at all, basically. He was coming in cold, and the Bucs were on a short week heading west after a tough, divisional game, and their defense looked flat, and Brock took advantage. The mobility, I think, is more of a factor than Jimmy G, so he adds a slightly different element. But let's be honest, I don't think he knows that offense as well as Jimmy does. I don't think he's going to make the reads and go through the progressions as well as Jimmy does. So I think over time, we'll see a bit of a drop-off in his production. Probably starts tonight. You want to talk about a great spot for him on Sunday, you get to tonight, and it's the opposite. On the road, hostile environment, and again, the other team fighting for their playoff lives. And Seattle's defense, they've heard all the noise that we've been saying for the last few weeks. You stink, bottom 5, this and that. And I do think they're a prideful unit. They're not as talented at the high end that you would want, especially at the pass rushing position. but they've got some corners in the back that can make some plays. And with Debo out, I do think it makes the Niners offense a little more compact and easier to defend. So we'll see what the vibes are. If Brock strolls into, I don't even know what they're calling that stupid stadium these days, but if he strolls into that stadium and he plays as well as he played on Sunday at home against the fatigued Bucs defense, then I think it's fair to say the Niners are a legit contender. But I have a feeling we're going to see some regression tonight from Brock.
Lumen Field. I just had to look it up myself because I forgot as well.
Was it Quest Field? Right?
Yeah, I think it was Quest. Yeah.
I don't. The stadium names these days. If they play in Seattle, it's very loud. It's probably I would say maybe besides Arrowhead, which I do think is still called Arrowhead. Who knows? The best home field advantage in the league, you would think, outdoor especially. So I think it's gonna be a tough environment for Brock tonight to be as clean as he was on Sunday.
So you think we might see some regression from him tonight? Does that mean you're backing the Seahawks tonight? Is that your play?
Yeah, that was the play of the day I gave out on pickswise.com today on our show. And I took 3 and a hook and I got it. It's kind of drifted back and forth. Like once we heard the Purdy news, it's gotten back to 3.5. I saw some 3s this morning. So there's a chance that you're sitting there with a plus 3.5 and a -3 in your back pocket at -110. And, that's a pretty decent spot to be in. You can't middle it, but you can't lose it. You can't lose all of it. But I think taking the points with Seattle with the hook, I think is the safest play. They've also struggled, or the Niners have, to face this Seattle team. Like all the numbers say you don't sweep this series. I don't think there's been a sweep in this series on the San Francisco side in about 20 years. So with San Francisco winning the first game at home earlier in the year, I have a feeling Seattle's going to return the favor time.
Yeah, we're on opposite sides. I'm on the 49ers for this one, but it is part of it just kind of riding Brock Purdy here is a little bit fun, but I think you brought up an interesting point earlier. It can be a little bit deceiving with these young quarterbacks playing well in the first couple of starts because teams don't have any film on them. Once you see how they perform in a few games, defensive coordinators can start to kind of attack their weaknesses, the areas that they don't perform as well in. So we might see that tonight. But I just got to keep riding him. It's fun to cheer for Mr. Irrelevant. So opposite sides tonight, but I think it's in general, it's a little bit of a tough game to call, especially divisional games this late in the season. Another kind of side story tonight, and it's Offensive Rookie of the Year, because usually this award is, if not mostly decided, it's down to like 2 guys by this point of the year with 4 weeks to go. But there's 4 guys who are still well in the hunt. One of them is the Seahawks running back, Kenneth Walker. Just looking at FanDuel odds from earlier this week, plus 300. Garrett Wilson's a favorite, plus 170. Christian Watson, plus 330. And then Chris Olave, plus 420. We talked about it on the show yesterday with Ben Heisler. We gave our picks for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Nice.
Who do you think presents the best value down the stretch?
Yeah, it's a good question because, listen, at this stage, you can eliminate. I think you can eliminate Olave, frankly. I think that's the odd man out of the 4 you just mentioned. Like if I had to rank the 4, I think Olave is a solid 4 there. I think Watson might have a little sneaky value. I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers just magically play well down the stretch. They have a very winnable game on Monday night against the Rams, and they're not dead for the playoffs just yet. And I know it's been ugly for Aaron Rodgers, and it has. But they face some teams down the stretch, home games against Minnesota and Detroit. And I think Detroit's in for a tough game this week against our Jets. But I'm a little high on this Packers team coming out of the bye, and I think it's going to be an interesting game for them against the Rams this week. And we'll see if Ramsey draws Watson in coverage. But that's an interesting number. And I think Kenneth Walker, though, like controls his own destiny, right? Like if he comes out and performs well, he was the favorite until the injury. And I think if he comes back and he sustains the level pre-injury, I think the odds makers kind of give him the perch back. Garrett Wilson is kind of a wild card here. I think he has the most upside of them long term. But, man, the Jets offense, if Mike White doesn't make it through that game and they have to bring Zach Wilson back in, and White's been, really injury prone. And I guess all these guys have really been injury prone. So that's certainly something you have to consider. But if I had to rank it right now and how I would bet it, I would probably bet Watson first, then Walker, and then Wilson third would be how I'd probably rank them.
Yeah, Watson was my pick on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
When he has that like 7 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
Yeah, and it's been explosive. And think about who his quarterback is. Like he's going to get a lot of national attention, whereas Seattle might not over the next few weeks, especially if they lose tonight and they fall out of the playoff race. Whereas Watson with Rodgers, if they're in the hunt, that's going to be the spotlight over the final month of the season.
Absolutely. Let's move on to this weekend's games. 3 games on Saturday. The finale on Saturday, the Dolphins and the Bills. Are you buying in on this whole take of the Dolphins going up and playing in snow in Buffalo? Do we just bet on the Bills because of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that's really concerned about Tua here. And you want to say it's weather related, but I can also point to some schematic things that defenses have done against Tua the last few weeks that are very intriguing. The book is out, right? Mike McDaniel, this is the 14th game, and we're going to start to see a lot of similar coverage schemes to what we saw the Chargers do. And I credit Brandon Staley. We've given Brandon a lot of crap over the last couple of years, but defensively, he really had his X's and O's in the right spot, all his T's crossed and I's dotted against Miami. They played outside leverage. They forced everything to the outside, and they had a robber in the middle, and they said, you're not going to beat us deep middle. You have to throw outside the hash marks, and Tua could not accomplish that. And even with a really banged up secondary, no Derwin James. I mean, they made Tua look very ordinary. And I think that's kind of how you beat the Dolphins right now. And, Mike McDaniel can adjust. He's a great coach. I don't put anything past him. But in a vacuum, in really cold weather, on a week that's difficult to begin with because it's a short week, you're playing Saturday after back-to-back road games in California. Then you go to Miami. Now you're back in Buffalo. It's a really tough spot for the Dolphins. So I don't really like anything about their side of the handicap. But the numbers come off 7.5 to 7. And that is intriguing because that's a key number. And right. I don't know why. I don't know what the sharps see, but I'm probably not betting this game. I like Buffalo, but these games have tended to be close. The Bills have struggled to cover numbers, so I'll probably lay off, but the handicap certainly favors the Bills with everything I just, pointed out.
I agree. It's a tough one to handicap. Unfortunately, I have to bet on every single NFL game this season. So
why'd you put yourself in that situation?
Because I'm a masochist and I just like to feel pain on
I feel you.
Let's talk about the team we mentioned earlier, the Jets. Big game against the Lions this week. I have loved the Jets this week or this whole season. I think their defense does not get the credit it deserves for being as dominant as it is. I don't really know what to make of Mike White, though. I think is he better than Zach Wilson? I don't really know, but I think they're 1-point favorites against the Lions in a pivotal game. Who the Lions might be the hottest team in the NFL right now. What's your take on that game?
Yeah, I do think Mike White's a big step up from Zach, and I usually lean on what the locker room says, and you can just see the guys perk up anytime he's mentioned, and they get to talk about him. And I think the opposites for Zach Wilson. He's like the villain in every teen movie we've ever watched. It's just that's his personality, and it works for some guys. Like that's Joe Burrow's personality, but it works for him. It's different when it's Zach Wilson and he hasn't had that kind of success. Joe Burrow won a Heisman, won an Natty, and then made it to the Super Bowl. Like you've got plenty of leash there, bud. You can be as cocky as you want. But when it comes from Zach Wilson, the results haven't backed it up. You went to BYU. Right. I think you lost to Coastal Carolina in your biggest game of your collegiate career. And then you get drafted top 5 overall and you've been hurt for half the season. And it's tough for him to say the things that he says and to get away with it. With Mike White, you're not going to get the high-end production. You're not going to get the flash with Josh Allen or even with Jared Goff, who I think has been pretty buttoned up this year. And I credit Ben Johnson for that, the offensive coordinator. And, we've heard it on every show, every media outlet podcast going to talk about how good he's been scheming things out and making Jared Goff look like a quarterback that can actually compete in the NFL. But this is a massive step up in class. You look at the defenses that the Lions have faced over the last 6 weeks during this 6-win cover streak. The one loss was to the Bills, top 5 defense. All of the other games, outright wins against defenses outside the top 22 in DVOA. And this is a Jets team that, the fluky nature of what they did early in the year is done and over with. They're grading out like a top 3 defense. They held Stephon Diggs to his lowest catch and yardage output of the season. Sauce Gardner was targeted just 2 times the whole game. Like Josh Allen in the second return matchup, when you had all that tape with how they're going to play in the first matchup about a month ago, they laid another egg against this Jets defense, and they were kind of bailed out by Mike White getting his butt kicked and, some turnovers from Joe Flacco, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is a Jets team that is better top to bottom. The Lions offense is high end. Their defense isn't, even though they played a little better. The Jets are a top 10, top 5 defense. And I think their offense with Mike White has some pieces. Donovan Knight's been a stud too. Yards after contact. He's a touchdown prop for me this week because the Lions can't stop the run. So I think the Jets are a stone cold bet, especially at a low price.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a sell high spot on the Lions. I couldn't agree more with your handicap there. I think the Jets might be my favorite bet this entire week. One last game I want to get your quick thoughts on. It's just the Buccaneers, and maybe not even the game itself this weekend against the Bengals, but the Buccaneers in general, because everyone keeps saying, here comes Tom Brady. He's going to get hot. They're going to, be a team to watch in the playoffs. Do you believe that, or are the Buccaneers officially dead?
Yeah, it's so funny because we just did our weekly podcast for Pickswise, and I usually deep dive the games and numbers, analytics. For this game, I literally wrote Bucks look old and tired, Bengals look young and hungry, and that was it. I don't think there's much more to it than that. Right. I'm sure there's going to be some number grabbing at some point because this line was 5. The Bucks were favored over the summer when it originated. 2.5 on the look ahead, hops through the key number of 3. Now we're hitting 4. There's going to be a point where the sharp money will bet Tampa, and I respect that. But I think Cincinnati, if I had to pick a team to win the Super Bowl today, that's my team. I got him at 16-1 a couple weeks ago during that Chiefs game. I thought that was the market catalyst that kind of would propel them into a higher tier, and it has, but there's still a lot of questions. But they face the Bills in 2 weeks at home, and the Chiefs' schedule is easy. But if the Chiefs drop a game and the Bengals win that game against the Bills, the Bengals control their destiny for the 1 seed, and that's not a team you want to face in January with all that confidence and swag dripping from Joey B. So I don't know if the number's fair to bet them this week, but I like the Bengals a lot. They're kind of, to me, that TOD at this stage of, mid-December before we get into the playoff run. Yeah,
I agree with that. Final question, just a yes or no answer. Do my Atlanta Falcons have a chance to win the NFC South?
No, I kind of like Carolina. God. I like Carolina.
I actually do like Carolina too. From a betting standpoint, I think Carolina is the bet to make to win that division. Yeah. All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Jared. I appreciate you hopping on. Great stuff. You can follow him on Twitter at Jared Lee Smith. He is the lead betting analyst with Pickswise. Is there anywhere else people can find your work?
Yeah, I do a weekly show, college football, and now kind of transitioning to NFL on Fox Sports Radio every Saturday morning from 6 to 9 Pacific, 9 to noon Eastern, and then some regular appearances on Bally's Live on the Line on Stadium Bally's Sports. So yeah, kind of running the media circuit these days, but Pickswise, of course, being the main squeeze. Exciting stuff over the next 2 weeks. We wind down the regular season.
Love it. Thank you so much. Good luck with your bets tonight. Good luck with your bets this weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate you.
Next up, Donnavan Smoot hopping on with me. We're going to go through the community picks for tonight as well as our best bets for tonight. A little bit of everything on the slate tonight, and there he is, Donnavan Smoot, the one and only. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. What's up? Also, quick question. I see you have your Christmas lights up behind you. I need to know what your favorite Christmas song ever is, and I also want you to know that you will be judged very heavily by whatever your answer is.
I wish I did. Well, you know what my actual answer is, and now I can't make it my favorite song anymore because it's problematic once you look into the lyrics. But growing up, I always liked "Baby It's Cold Outside." That was always my favorite Christmas song. But you can't really listen to that song anymore. Now it's like, well, if you listen to the lyrics, it's probably not. It's kind of problematic. So it's a catchy tune though. What's yours? Do you have one?
I love "Last Christmas" by Wham.
Is that the one where it's like "Last Christmas"?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Exactly. That's a good answer.
That's my jam.
I like "Jingle Bell Rock." That's a classic. My actual answer, "Feliz Navidad."
Great pick.
Yes.
Great pick. I like that.
I love that song. Yeah, that is now taken over for "Baby It's Cold Outside" because we can't listen to that song anymore.
Nice.
Great question though. We are we're 10 days away from Christmas. Wow, what a world. Time flies.
It's insane.
Crazy.
It's insane.
But yes, we got some stuff to talk about tonight. We got some picks for tonight's action. I have an NHL pick. I have a college basketball pick, and I have a player prop for Thursday Night Football. Donnavan, you got 2 NBA plays, and then you got your best bet for tonight's game as well. But first, as always, we're going to get through some community picks for tonight. So why don't we start off right there? If we can bring up the first one. Chips Picks Daily. I love it when he sends in picks because he always has a great breakdown, makes our job pretty easy. He's on the Winnipeg Jets minus 155. Says over the last 2 weeks, Winnipeg ranks 11th in Corsi percentage, 7th in expected goals. Over that same time span, Nashville ranks 28th in Corsi percentage, 24th in expected goals. Significant special teams advantage for the Jets, who are also 10-5 at home this season. Yeah, there was a span there where I was trying to fade the Jets a little bit. I didn't believe that they were as good as their record indicates, but then statistically, they've actually improved even more over the past little bit. I just want to see if Hellebuck is getting the start tonight, if I can bring that up. Yeah, he is likely. So 2 Vezina, at least 2 preseason Vezina candidates going up against each other, Connor Hellebuck and Huseros. I think the odds are set at the right number in this game, so it wasn't a bet that I placed. But I certainly see it. And actually, if he got it at minus 155, he got it at a good number because at least at FanDuel, it's jumped up to minus 172. So, yeah, great bet, especially if you got it at that number.
I like that. I like it. Let's keep it moving. What's the next one?
Let's bring up the next one. NBA hot takes with TP3. I love the TP3 bets sends in picks. I wish he made a couple points, but he always just sends in the pick. Grizzlies 2-point favorites at home to the Bucks tonight. Donnavan, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I actually have a pick on this game a little bit later, so I'm actually going to save my thoughts for that game coming up for our best bet section.
I think I saw a tweet earlier. I forget who tweeted it. I think someone made the case for your boy Bobby Portis Jr. to win 6th Man of the Year.
That was our guy Reed Wallach.
Oh, it was Reed. There you go.
Yeah, it was Reed. Bobby's averaging a double right now, and he's 30-1 to be 6th Man of the Year. So if you want like a long shot before Christmas, Bobby Portis is definitely in the mix for that.
There you go. And you love Bobby Portis.
Love Bobby. It's my guy.
All right, let's keep it moving here to the next one. I think we have another NBA pick. This guy's Twitter name is just it's not even a 4-leaf clover, 3-leaf clover. His ad is at 21 Kutch. Clippers minus 1.5 full Sendian, he says. I don't know if that's an alternate line. I don't know if it opened at that. Yeah, I guess if he's talking about the Clippers, that's an alternate line because they're 5.5-point underdogs. So is he suggesting we take an alternate minus 1.5 line on the Clippers against the Suns tonight?
I guess so. And I don't hate it. I don't hate if you're taking the Clippers as underdogs today. I need to see, and honestly, this is a daily occurrence with the Clippers, is that you have to check the injury report because you don't know if Kawhi Leonard is going to play. You don't know if Paul George is going to play. And so right now, Kawhi Leonard is day to day. Zubac, the starting center, he is day to day as well. So like we'll see how many of the Clippers players actually play. But on the other side, Phoenix also has some injury concerns on their side. Devin Booker is questionable. DeAndre Ayton is questionable. They have a lot of role players on the injury report. So I think that this game might be a little bit closer than the line is given credit for. So yeah, if you want to take the Clippers on that alternate line and get just a little bit more, what's up?
So I did. So I thought that. So that was actually what the line was. The injury report has come out. The Clippers are missing Kawhi, Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell. All 4 of those guys are out.
Okay, I do not like this line. I don't like. If they had one of those guys, then I can see the vision. I can see the vision. But I don't know. Phoenix, they're just such a. They're a well-oiled machine. Devin Booker is playing very well this year, even though he's questionable. If he's on the floor, I think he'll be okay. So yeah, I might have to fade this one. I hate betting on the Clippers. It's really a terrible experience night in and night out because even whenever they're healthy, they don't play enough. So you can't get any sense of like what this team is.
Right.
It's awful.
Yeah, so I think that news just happened recently. So yeah, so he did not get an alternate line. That's what the line was. Now he's got to be kicking himself because he's now hoping that a team that doesn't have Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Kawhi Leonard, or Norman Powell can somehow win with margin against the Suns. So
yeah, it's gonna be
the line shifted by 7 points.
It's a Terrence Mann kind of game. It's a Terrence Mann and John Wall kind of game. That's disgusting.
Best pie eater, yeah, he chimed in. I think the line opened at 1.5 and jumped all the way to plus 5.5 because of injury news. Yes. And I see the other one from earlier. Someone asking about Mason's rushing total. We'll get to that in a little bit when we give out our picks for tonight. But let's keep it going with the community picks here. Jared at Jared543210. Very original name there. Bruins money line. Let's take a quick peek. They are minus 240. That's a bold pick you're giving us, Jared. You're giving us a minus 240 money line pick. Come on, dude. You can't give us a puck line or a three-way money line. You send it in your pick of your show was minus 240. I guess a winner is a winner, but yeah, the Bruins are favored. What do you want me to say? The Bruins are probably the best team in the NHL this season. They have a lot better offense than what they had last year, which is what they were lacking last year. They're the best defensive team in the NHL. Linus Ullmark, their goaltender, is probably the favorite right now to win the Vezina Trophy. There's a reason they're minus 240 favorites against the Kings. I've tried to fade them because I think from a betting market standpoint, I think the Bruins are now overvalued. So I've tried to fade them a couple times in the past few weeks, but they're just so good that they just win anyway. So I don't think there's a lot of betting value on the Bruins, but also I don't really want to bet against them anymore either. So Bruins games are just kind of stay away games with how the market is evaluating them right now. But come on, dude, give us a juicier pick than minus 240.
You got to go at least pick them to win in regulation. We got to get something. So yeah, something away from minus 240.
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, even in regulation was minus 158, but I would accept a minus 158, minus 240 pick into the show. Come on, man. All right, I'm just joking. Bet whatever you want. I don't care. Next, we have one more community pick. It is a college basketball pick. Underdog betting specialist at Underdog Special. He's sticking true to his name tonight because he's taking Chattanooga plus 200. There we go. This is what we like to see for community picks.
Okay.
Put your money where your mouth is. Chattanooga 2-1 against Middle Tennessee. We got a little breakdown here. 3 point. So if 3-pointers made, I'm guessing is what that is. First, Chattanooga leads college basketball 3-point percentage, 38th versus 331st. Free throw percentage are a lot better. Middle Tennessee, almost the worst free throw shooting team in the country. Rebounding, they have an advantage, and offensive rating, they have an advantage. So there you go. I didn't dive too deep into this game myself, so I don't have too much more to add, but I like the boldness. 2-1 for Chattanooga. Donovan, what state is Chattanooga in?
That's in Tennessee.
Oh, there you go. So it's a battle between two Tennessee schools. There you go.
That's one of those cities where the name is so recognizable that you have to know where it's at. It's such a weird name.
I didn't know what it was. I was going to Google it, but you said it so confidently. I believe you. It's in Tennessee. I guess I wouldn't have guessed Tennessee, but there you go.
Wait, I'm a double check and make sure that
better right? Be. If you said it that confidently, it better be.
Yes, it is. I'm right. Let's go.
The Chattanooga. What do you think their mascot is? The Chattanooga Mocs.
What's a mock?
Mocs. I don't know.
It's terrible.
It's a question for another day. Change that mascot for sure. All right, that is it for the community picks. Let's get to our best bets for tonight. I got one NHL, one college basketball, and a prop for the NFL game. Donovan, you got 2 NBA, and then your side for the NFL game tonight. Why don't you start us off? What's your, and I believe it's an underdog pick in the NBA tonight.
Yeah, so I'm on the other side of the Grizzlies pick. So the Grizzlies are 2-point favorites against the Bucks at home. I really like the fact that you can get Giannis at
We have lost Donovan. Donovan, his pick was the Bucks against the Grizzlies, plus 116. We'll see if we can get him back. I'll just dive right into my first pick. This might just turn into a solo show, which, the narcissist that I am, I would love that. But no, we'll see if we can get Donovan back. His pick was the Bucks money line against the Grizzlies. My first pick is an underdog as well. It is in the NHL. It is the Chicago Blackhawks plus 175 against the Vegas Golden Knights, which sounds crazy because the Blackhawks are one of the worst teams in the NHL, but I think this might be a time to actually back the Blackhawks against them, because lately the Golden Knights have not been playing good hockey. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They rank near the bottom of the NHL in a few key stats, like they're 29th in Corsi percentage, 26th in expected goals for, 26th in shooting percentage. They're having trouble finding the back of the net. So to be fair, the Blackhawks don't necessarily outrank them in those categories, but we're talking plus 175 home underdogs. I think now is a good time to fade the Vegas Golden Knights. So I think they're worth a shot here, the Blackhawks at plus 175. Donovan, we got you back.
Yes, we do. This is ridiculous. I guess the Wi-Fi just likes to, pick and choose whenever it wants to show up. But I was taking the Bucks on the money line.
Yes.
As underdogs, opposite of what we had in the Twitter picks from TP3 Bets, just because I like the fact that you can get Giannis as an underdog. And the Grizzlies, they're really rolling. Like, they're 8-2 over the last 10 games. They have the best net rating in the league. But I think you might be able to sell high with them tonight, because the Bucks are also 8-2 over their last 10 games, and they have the exact same offensive rating as the Memphis Grizzlies. So the difference comes on the defensive end. However, when you have Brook Lopez, when you have Giannis, you can guard basically anybody in the league. So it's a small underdog play, but I think that the Grizzlies, this may be a chance for them, to actually play up and have one of the best teams in the league come into their house. I think it's a really tough spot for them.
All right, there you go. So we're starting off our best bets with a couple of underdogs. You got the Bucks on the money line against the Grizzlies. I got the Blackhawks on the money line against the Golden Knights. I'll just give one my college basketball pick for tonight here. I'm taking Wagner minus 6.5 against Stony Brook. How about these couple schools? There's a stat that I have started to look at quite a bit more this season. I explained it on yesterday's episode of Daily Betslip. It's called extra scoring chances per game. Basically takes your offensive rebounds and turnovers. It takes all those things into consideration. I used it last night, and it was a big reason why I took UCLA, and they beat Maryland by basically 1 million points. And there's a big difference in this game as well, because Wagner 54th in the country in extra scoring chances per game. Stony Brook all the way down at 356th. They don't grab any offensive rebounds. They don't get turnovers. They cough up the ball all over the court. So it's going to be hard for Stony Brook to stay in this game. Also, Stony Brook, their shooting is terrible, 317th in effective field goal percentage. So Wagner certainly not a great team either. But they do some things to get themselves some extra chances, which Stony Brook certainly doesn't do. So I'll take Wagner minus 6.5. Stony Brook and Wagner, Donovan, do you know what states those schools are in?
Stony Brook, I think, is in New York. My aunt went to Stony Brook.
Oh, shout out.
Yes.
Yes, I know Stony Brook is in New York because I went to go bet it at a regulated book and I could not. So I had to go secret way to bet on this game. Wagner, though, no idea where Wagner is.
Yeah, I have no idea where it's at.
I'm going to guess.
I'll look it up.
I'm going to guess Connecticut.
Let's see if you are right. The Wagner Seahawks are in, where are they? Oh, no, they're in Staten Island.
Oh, so they're in New York as well.
Yes.
There you go. Although I'm looking it up and I'm just getting a bunch of middle schools.
That's weird. It's very weird.
Wagner Seahawks. Yeah, Staten Island. So this is a New York versus New York game. I'll take Wagner minus 6.5 for my favorite college basketball play. Outside of, I gave it out this morning on Vegas Insider. I don't have it as a pick on the show, but tonight is an auto bet night. It is the UC Irvine Anteaters. I got them at a pick 'em, but they're now slight underdogs against Santa Clara. So I will, of course, be backing my Anteaters tonight as well.
Love it. Zat. All right, so my next pick, I'm going back to the NBA. I'm taking the Pelicans -1 against the Jazz tonight. Utah beat New Orleans by 20 points just 2 days ago. The game is still in Salt Lake City, but the main reason, and the reason why I think that this game is going to be much, much different, is because 2 nights ago the Pelicans shot 4 for 27 from the 3-point line. They shot 15% from 3. That number is going to be improved. They're going to get back to normal, and as long as they are not incompetent from the 3-point line, they will be able to hold pace with them. They shot 50% from three. They shot under 40% from the field. Both of those numbers are going to come up. And Utah, while the offense has stayed relatively potent throughout this entire season, their defense has fallen off a cliff, and it's one of the main reasons why they've gone from being the Cinderella team at the top of the conference to now they're going to be legitimately fighting for a playoff spot. And that's because they're 17th in defensive rating over the last 10 games. And even over the season, they're 22nd in defensive rating. So I think that New Orleans is going to be able to get back into an offensive rhythm and get this game. So I'll take them on the spread tonight.
There you go. Pelicans -1 against the Jazz. Let's switch things up to the game of the night, which is, of course, Thursday Night Football between the 49ers and the Seahawks. I talked earlier with Jared. He's on the Seahawks for a side. I'm on the 49ers for a side, but I do have a prop bet that I like tonight. It is Geno Smith to go over 33.5 passing attempts. He's averaging 32.9 this season, so that's a smidge lower than the set total tonight. But Seattle's passing play percentage this season is 60.21%. They've been throwing the ball 60.21% of their plays. But over the last 3 games, that's increased to 67.4%. And then last week, they threw the ball on 73.58% of plays. I actually think they'd be better off running the ball more. But over the last few weeks, we have seen Pete Carroll consistently throw the ball more than what they did at the start of the season. So I think that's going to help Geno Smith go over his passing attempt total tonight. And also just the fact that I'm on the 49ers, I think they'll have a lead. And if they have a lead, obviously they'll need Geno Smith to throw the ball more as the game goes on. So for my favorite prop bet tonight, I like Geno Smith over 33.5 attempts. Donnavan, what's your play on a side in this one? Are you with me or are you with Jared?
I'm with you. I'm taking the 49ers -3.5. I agree with your Geno Smith pick as well. And the Seahawks are getting Kenneth Walker back, but he hasn't been really effective over the last 3 games. He has 79 rushing yards combined over the last 3 games. And so I think that if you're going up against one of the better defenses and one of the better run defenses in the NFL in San Francisco, the only way or the best way if you're Seattle to attack them is through the air with DK and with Tyler Lockett. But I just think that San Francisco's defense is going to be able to hold up enough to get them the win. I think that Brock Purdy is going to be able to kind of manage this offense, because even though that Debo isn't going to be there, they still have Christian McCaffrey. Brandon Ayuk has really come on, and they have the ultimate just like, oh yeah, he's there as well. And George Kittle, where if they decide to use George Kittle as a pass catcher, he's one of the best pass catching tight ends in the league. And so they still have a lot of talent to surround Brock Purdy with. They have Kyle Shanahan to call great plays. It's just a really good situation over there in San Francisco. And I think that they're going to be able to get the job done tonight.
There you go. So you are on the 49ers. I am on the 49ers. The community pick is in. The community is on the 49ers. So it is all of us against Jared, I guess. Jared is on the Seahawks, as he explained earlier in the show. It is a tough game. It's not certainly one that I feel that I have a ton of confidence in, but there you go. The community last night, I don't remember what the game of the night was last night. Oh, Maryland. It was Maryland and UCLA, and they're on Maryland. So the community is now 1-2 on the week. So we need them to even the record up with a win tonight, please.
Yep. All of us have to be right to get to 500.
That's right. All right. So there you have it. That is our show today. Give us a little like, give us a little subscribe. That would be much appreciated. The early read went live earlier this week. Reed Wallach talked some bowl games with Chris Felica. Very good episode of that. That's an absolute must watch. So go watch that right now as soon as we shut this stream off. And tomorrow, Donnavan, you will be back with Reed for Daily Betslip, the last one of the week, at 4 p.m. Eastern, an hour earlier tomorrow. Any final thoughts from you, Donnavan, before we wrap things up?
Shout out Brock Purdy. I hope he plays well tonight.
Shout out Brock Purdy. Shout out Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
What a fun story. All right, that's all from us. Thank you all so much for watching. Gamble or bless. I'll talk to you later.